Welcome to Vision iEdu, the digital computer classes. Today's session is about C language. In any language, if you want to learn in the computer sector, the C language is a very important because it is like a ABC for the software learners, because many of computer programs are either directly or indirectly linked with the C language. That's maybe the structure of the C language or the procedures of the C language. Somewhat, at least some of the features they may be implemented in different types of languages. I am Krish. I'm going to start session 1. In this session, we will discuss about the history of C, benefits of C, and the basic structure of a C program. Let's begin our journey. Here, the history of C language. In any computer language or anything, before we start to learn about that, we have to know the basics. That means the evolution of that particular object what we are going to learn. So here, the history of C language, when the C language was introduced and how it evaluated. Let's start. A C language is a general purpose programming language. So here, observe, general purpose programming language. General purpose means it is a language which is used for any type of scripting. Means in C language we can develop or we can design any software. So there are some structure oriented procedures or some other programming languages are there. They are domain specific programming languages. As suppose SQL. If you take that SQL, the SQL programming language allows you to design only database related softwares, and that will not use to implement or to create any other software. Unlike it, C language is a general purpose programming language. Using C, we can develop any type of software. Okay, so this is the main use of the C language. So the C language, it was derived from language B. So here B language, one of the very low level language. So actually the B language that was taken and redeveloped from the BCPL. Its full form is Basic Computer Programming Language. And from the BCPL, the B language was developed by Ken Thompson. He is one of the famous person. He worked in Bell Laboratories. We will discuss about what is the Bell Laboratories and where it is. Okay. And coming to the next topic, the C language is just modified and advanced version of the B. Actually, the C language is not a new language. If you observe the previous 3 bits, here you can find the BCPL is a mother language for the B, and the B is a mother language for C. So here some disadvantages from the BCPL were removed, and some advanced features were added, and that was called as a B language, and these all modifications are done by Ken Thompson. And still there were some bugs or some disadvantages, and all the disadvantages are removed, and one advanced structure, advanced programming, powerful programming was introduced, and that new powerful programming language which was derived from the B is simply called as C. So that it's a just modified version and advanced version of the B. And the C language that was developed by Dennis Ritchie in 1970s. Here we can find the persons. 2 persons are here. So Ken Thompson, the first person is Ken Thompson. He is the developer of language B, and the second person is Dennis Ritchie. He is a developer of C language, and he is well known as father of C language. So these are the some modern photographs of these two key persons. And the C language that was written for a Unix operating system based missions. And coming to the laboratory where the C language was developed means it is a AT and T Bell Laboratories located in New Jersey, America. So the C language, it was completely structured and developed at AT and T Bell Laboratories. Its a full form is American Telephone and Telegraph Bell Labs. And one interesting topic is here. So it begins the AT and T Bell Labs was a completely telephone related lab. So it was founded by the Alexander Graham Bell. Already we know who is that person. Alexander Graham Bell is a famous person. He was introduced the telephones. So the same person, Alexander Graham Bell, was founded one lab that's called as AT and T Bell Labs. Unfortunately, at present, from the 2016 onwards, the famous mobile phone company Nokia, it's taken over the Bell Labs. Now it was renamed as Nokia Bell Labs. And here you can find the evolution of the Bell Laboratories. At beginning, Bell Telephone Laboratories. That name was as a Bell Telephone Laboratories. Then after it modified as a Bell Laboratory. At last, AT and T Bell Laboratories. At this stage only the C language was introduced in this particular laboratory. And at present it renamed as a Nokia Bell Labs. This is about the laboratory where the C was introduced. And coming to the next important topic, that is the benefits of C. C language is a mid-level programming language. So mid-level means it's not a completely low-level language as well as it's not a complete high-level language. And it can handle the low-level programming as well as it can handle the high-level programming. So that is the power of C. So let us discuss about that. Some high-level programming languages, high-level functioning languages are there, and a low-level coding is there, and a high-level and low-level. These two are handled by one of the programming language that's simply called as a C language. So it is not completely high-level and not completely low-level. It's simply called as a mid-level programming language. Okay, so the C, it can be used for low-level programming. Normally, the low-level programming is required in drivers. That's mean if you purchase a printer, you have to install the printer drivers. Or if you purchase a scanner or webcam, etc., any computer peripheral, so you have to install the drivers of that particular hardware. And inside of the processor, there is a small memory which can operate the operating system and hardware. So they are simply called as the kernels. The kernels programming and drivers programming is mostly written in low-level language only. So which the C language can handle these low-level language. Means the programs in different types of drivers and the programs in kernel level, these are mostly used in C language. And coming to the high level, C also supports the functions of high level programming. So high level programming means it's nothing but a fully developed software applications. So nowadays we have a lot of software applications, all are user friendly and well developed. Okay, so the C language also supports these modern highly developed software applications. So using the C language we can develop or we can design one complete software application which is meets the present needs. And the C language also writes the very low level codes for the kernels and drivers, so that it's simply called as mid-level language. This is one of the benefits of this C language. and C also supports some functions. So in the C program we can write the function. So actually function means is nothing but a group of procedures or set of instructions which can execute one particular task. So in each and every program we may write a number of functions. Suppose if you require a calculation, adding two numbers, you can write a function to add two numbers, or multiplication purpose, swapping of two numbers, etc. For any type of works, we can write the procedure of that particular execution in one particular block, and that block is simply called as a function. So C language supports the functions. So let us see what is the benefit of these functions. Just assume here it is a program 1. So if you want to execute the entire program, if you want to write the program completely in without blocks, then you need to write much code. Suppose you are supposed to add two numbers in three different places in your program. You have to add two numbers in three different places in one program. Then when the addition program is required, then you have to write some steps like prompting value from user, and reading the character or a number entered by the user, and you have to write a small function with operators, and at last you have to print the result. So at least 4 to 5 lines code you have to repeat when the two numbers addition is required. Suppose instead of writing this procedure individually, if you write one addition function in a separate set, then you can use the addition function in block 1 and as well as block 3 or anywhere in the program without repeating the same code. Okay, so suppose if you write the addition program in one set of function, and if you put it as a addition function, and you can use the code and you can use that entire function in your program when it is required without redefining. So just you have to observe that once if you define one function, you can reuse any number of times in the same program without rewriting the codes. Okay, by implementing this, what are the benefits? Benefit number 1, it saves the time. Okay, writing the same codes many times means it's nothing but just wasting of the time. So by creating the functions, we can save the time to rewrite the functions again and again in the same program. Okay, and the second benefit is about the code will be less. So our program code automatically it becomes less. Suppose if you write the addition functions of 4-5 times in your program, suppose you are writing a large program, you have to add two numbers in 6 different places in your program. That addition may have 5 lines. So if you want to write the 6 times means 5 into 6, it is 30 lines. So actually you have to write the 30 lines. So the program code will be increased and the time may be waste. Instead of writing the function individually, if you group that addition function as a function set, and then you can use the 6 times the same function 6 times in your program in different places. So suppose block 1, if you calculate the two numbers in the block 1, you can use the function, and again if you want to use the same addition procedure in block 3, you can use the same function again by supplying the different values. Just observe here, the function procedure is same, but the values may be different in the block 1 and may be different in the block 3. You can supply the different values, but there is no change in the procedure of calculation. Just take an example of the calculator. So in the calculator you have to use that plus symbol again and again, but no need to define the procedure again and again when you use that particular button, but you have to give the different values at each time. If you give the same values, your result will be same. If you give the different values, your result will be different. As the same, from the block 1, you may add 3 and 4 digits. 3 plus 4, it's a 7. By supplying the number 3 and number 4 to the function set, the function returns 7 as a result. And suppose from the block 3, if you supply 20 plus 30 to the function set, that will be returns you with a result of 50. Like that, you can give the different values to the function, but the procedure, that means the calculation procedure is the same, so that the code will be automatically reduced. And one more thing is easy updation. Suppose if you want to update your function, so then all the function is provided in one particular place, then just you have to change in function set only. No need to change in the block 1, block 3, or anywhere where you use in your program. So this is another benefit. And one more benefit is there, bugs. So suppose some error is there in your program, that's mean in your function, so then you have to correct it only in the function set. No need to correct it in the different blocks. So this is one of the greatest feature of the C language, and one of the very, very important benefit of C. Coming to the next, C is case sensitive. You have to remember this. This is a very, very important. C is completely case sensitive. Why I am saying this means case sensitive. First you have to understand what is the case sensitive. Case sensitivity means what? Case sensitive means there is a difference between the uppercase and lowercase. So we may write our names in uppercase as well as in the lowercase or in sentence case. Normally the human can understand even there is a uppercase or lowercase, and we can easily think that there is no difference between the capital A and small a, except some grammar mistakes. Suppose at the beginning of the para we have to write the uppercase, like that some grammar rules are there, but there is no difference between the capital A and small a in the view of a human. But in case of the C language, C will recognize that upper letter is different and lower letter is different. Do you know why the C treat like this? Means C language completely, not only C language, you take any language, all languages are completely works on binary codes of the characters. So you may know binary code. The binary code, it has only 2 numbers, and we will discuss it at the time of number system. So in further sessions we will discuss number system and how many types of number systems are there. Normally there are binary and octal number, decimal, hexadecimal, some numbering system is there. Okay, so we will discuss later about that. So normally any language that understand one particular sentence which is provided by the user in the form of binary only. Of course, we may provide it in the alphabets form or a number form, or maybe in some allowed symbols forms also. But computer does not recognize any symbol other than 0 and 1, which is called as a binary. So why I am telling this means, if you take the capital A, the binary code of the capital A is different than the small a. Means there is some difference in the binary values of the upper letters and even lower letters, so that the C recognize and it reads only the binary form of the symbol. For example, you can find here printf is one of the output function in the C language. So this is used to print something on the screen. Okay, so we will discuss about these functions. Okay, so printf is so if you write like this, all small letters, printf, all are it must be in the small letters. So this is the correct form of a printf function. And if you write like this, that means the first letter is capital and remaining are small. This is a wrong presentation. And if you write all caps also, wrong presentation, even the spelling is same. Just observe on the screen, the spelling is same. Printf, printf, printf. So if you observe these three words, so it is a printf, here also printf, here also printf. But what is the change? Here all are small, which is recognized by C. Means the printf function is actually defined in C in all small letters. So if you write like this, so C will return error. Or if you write the printf function like this in all capitals, then also it returns the error. So these two are the wrong, even the spelling is same. Coming to the next, C supports the structures, arrays, and even it also handles the file operations too. So means structures, so we will discuss about this. So the structure means it's nothing but a group of objects. So we can group the data of one particular object, and we can call with one particular name. So that's simply called as a structure. And array is, it's a collection of similar data types. So that's simply called as arrays. And we will discuss about these structures, arrays, and functions detailedly in the coming sessions. Okay. So data structures are also supported to organize the data. So normally C language also supports the data structures. There are different types of data structures, linear and non-linear, tree, etc., etc. Okay, so we will discuss and coming sessions. So these are the benefits of C language. Let us discuss about the structure of C language. If you want to write a C language, you have to follow some procedures. So means if you which procedures you have to follow means you have to know about the structure, how the C program is designed. So every user should follow that procedure to write the C program. So that is called as a structured program. C language also structured program. So the user has to follow the steps. At the first line what the user has to write, at the second line what user has to write, at the third line what user has to write. So if you write the second line data in the fourth line, or third line data in the first line, so that returns some errors. So there is a structure the user has to follow to write the C program. Let us see what is the C structure. At beginning of the program, so that part is simply called as a documentation section. Every C program, you take any C program, that may be a game or application or whatever it is, every program begins with the documentation section. So let us discuss what is the documentation section and what it contains. So in the documentation section, so usually it is a comment section. It's also called as a comment section. So comment section means here under this particular section we can find creation date, that's mean date of creation of the program, or developer, who is the developer name, and what is the purpose of the program purpose, etc. details. So these all details are for the user side, that's mean user purpose, not for the system purpose. So without knowing the creation date, without knowing the developer name, without knowing the purpose of the program, also the program will executed by the compiler and it will print the result if it is in correct form. Okay, so the creation date or developer name or a purpose of the program, etc., etc., are not used for the compiler or CPU. Just they are used for the user. So if there are some C programs, by reading that first line, we can easily identify this particular program is written by so and so person, clear purpose, so specific purpose, and when it was created, where it was created. So like that we can find some information. So it's simply called as a documentation section. Of course, in the documentation section, sometimes we may define different types of abbreviations, which abbreviations we are going to use, like that also. And we have to remember this is not compulsory. So without a documentation section also we can write the program and it will execute correctly. Let us see how many types of comments are there. So in the documentation section, we probably write only the comments. Okay. So there is two types of comments actually. So first one is single line comments. The single line comments, it starts with this double slash. So the symbol you can find on the screen. So it begins with this double slash, and it should close in the same line. So where in which line the single line comment started, in the same line it should close. As the name specifies, clearly saying that single line comment. So single line comment means the comment, entire comment, it should be finished in only one line. So this is a example. So you have to put these double slashes here. So and program structure, what is your program says, and what are the documentation section, what content you have to provide in your documentation section, what you want to say to the users who are reading your program. So normally these single line comments are used where a specific definition is needed. Suppose I'm using suppose in my program I use it there DOJ. So DOJ. So some users may confuse what is the DOJ. So then I can declare in the single line comment DOJ equals to date of joining. So like that. So normally these are used for abbreviate variables or anything declared in our program. Coming to the second one, it is a multi-line comments. The multi-line comments, as the name implies, the multi-line means the comment it may be in the 2 lines or more than 2 lines. Of course, we may write in single line also. So we can write the multi-line comment even in single line, but we cannot write the single line comment in more than 1 line. So that you have to remember. So multi-line comments, it has the 2 symbols. At the beginning we have to write 1 symbol, and at the end of the multi-line comment we have to write another symbol. So slash and star means it is the beginning of our comment, and a star slash, it is the end of the multi-line comment. In between these 2 symbols we can write any number of lines. There is no limitation. You can write the 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, like that. So this is simply called as a multi-line comment. Okay, so this is the example. You can write like this slash star, and you can write a comment, or you can write your documentation of your program or application, and at the end you have to use the star and slash. So this is about the documentation section. It is the top part or the first part of the program, and remember it is just optional. And second one is the preprocessor directives. These are the very important in a program. Of course, this particular section also somewhat optional. So normally if you want to write a very basic program, suppose if you want to write a program just to print your name, or say hello, or a hello world program, like that, very small and simple programs, no preprocessor directives are required. But if you want to use somewhat complex, powerful program like addition of 2 numbers by prompting the values from user, or to solve the a plus b whole square principle, or to write a program to calculate your electricity bill by taking the meter reading, so etc. These are some powerful and complex programs. For this type of programs you must include the preprocessors. So the preprocessor means nothing but it's a set of functions. Some regularly and commonly used functions are grouped, and they are pre-installed, pre-supplied by the C team. They are simply called as a preprocessors. Just observe here, these are the predefined functions, nothing but functions only, but not user defined. Predefined means the developer team of the C designed and provided with the C software. So if you install C language in your mission, means all types of preprocessor directives are also installed in your mission. So which are provided by the C team. It is mandatory in some programs only. Which type of programs already we discussed. Okay, so each preprocessor has a set of instructions and functions which are used for different tasks. So here there are a lot of preprocessors. These preprocessors, that's mean about the preprocessor also we can discuss in our coming sessions. Okay, so each preprocessor. So preprocessor means is nothing but the set of instructions or the functions which are used for one particular task. Some preprocessor handles only the input procedures. Some preprocessor output, or some preprocessor supports that input and output, etc. For example, for input and output control, there is a STDIO, standard input and output preprocessor is there. So STDIO. So when the STDIO, standard input and output function library, is loaded in your program, means you can handle all types of input and output. Okay, so normally under STDIO, that's mean standard input and output directive, so it defined about the printf and scanf functions. Printf is for the print something on the screen, scanf for the read some value from the user, that's mean from the keyboard, etc. Simply called as a scanf is for input and printf is for output. So here you can find IO, I for input and O for output. And you have to remember one more thing, that is each and every preprocessor, it has one specific extension. C program has an extension of .c. As the same, the preprocessor specially identified by using the .h. H stands for here header file. So these are also called as header files, and preprocessor directive section also called as a header section. So coming to the next topic, it is a function definition. So C language, as we discussed under benefits of the C also supports the functions. We clearly discussed it there. So C also supports functions. That means user defined functions. C allow the users to create functions. So if user defines own functions, the user function definition section allows to define the function. Here only definition, no declaration is allowed. The declaration will appear at the end of the program. That's mean the declaration is here and definition is in another place. Okay, so let us see. It is not mandatory, but if user wants to define a new function, then it is compulsory. Okay, so this is the procedure. If the user wants to define the function, user has to write the word void and give a space, and after that he has to write the function name, and within the bracket the arguments. That means how many numbers are used in that function, which type of numbers are used in the function. They are simply called as arguments. Suppose 5 and 6, that's mean integer type of numbering is there, floating number is there, characters are there, strings are there. These are different types of data types, and we will discuss about the data types in data type session. Okay, so the function, it starts with the void, and then after the function name and arguments at and semicolon. This is called as a semicolon, which is called as terminator. So it must be used at the end of the definition of that particular function. In this section, only function definition is allowed, and the function declaration is placed at the end of the program. That you have to remember. So just you have to write what is the name of your function to be used in your program, and what type of values you are taking in your function, what type of data types you are using in your function. That only you have to provide here, and the procedure, that's mean how to calculate and how to take the information. They are simply called as the declarations. The declarations are not allowed in this particular section. Coming to the next section, this is simply called as global declarations. Global declarations means, suppose in some programs we have to implement one particular variable which is available until the end of the program, you have to write the type of variables at this particular section, and the section is called as a global declaration. So of course we may write the variables in any function inside of the functions also. So suppose if you write your variables inside of the function, they are available for only within that particular function. If the controller comes out from the function, that particular variable is not available. If you write some particular variable outside of all functions, they are simply called as global variables. So here you can find variable which is declared under this particular sections are available for all functions including main function. Okay, so if common variables are needed in a program, they will be defined here. It is also optional. So as we say, it is alive for entire program. So we have to write like this: type variable name. So here data type. Type means here data type and variable name. Suppose integer sum or integer value 1 comma value 2 comma, like that we can write, or integer marks. So we can write like this. So data type and variable name, or we can also write like this: data type and variable name and value. We can also declare the value. So if you declare, you have to remember one simple structure to remember about the global declaration variable. So if you write one particular variable inside of the function, that is simply called as a local variable. Inside of the function means a local variable. Outside of all functions means global variable. This is a very simple technique to remember or identify one particular variable is global or local. If you find one particular variable inside of any function including main, that's simply called as a local variable. Or if you find one particular variable outside of all functions, that's simply called as a global variable. And coming to the next one, it is the main section. This is compulsory. So in each and every program we must write the main section. Without main section we cannot execute or cannot implement the C program. It is mandatory section. Every C program should have main section. All programs execution procedures is defined under main function only. Main is it's a nothing but it is a function. Next one is about user function declaration. So in the previous step we used user definition, user function definition section. So if a user defined a function, so at last, this is the last step of the C program, that particular function it should be declared at the end of the program. So the declaration is in this section only. It is mandatory if user define a self function, that's mean own function, at a user function definition section. In declaration section, user need to write complete procedure by using the declared function names and declared arguments. Definition section, the function name and function arguments were defined. So the same function name and the same function arguments we have to use under declaration section. Right, this is about the function declaration. And if you find the entire structure of the C at a glance, you can find here the first section is the documentation section, we already discussed about it. Second one is the preprocessor directives, and third one is user function definition, and next one global declaration section, then after main function section and user function declaration section. So among these two are interrelated. That's mean user function declaration, this one user function declaration and user function definition, these two are interrelated. So if the definition is there, you must declare it. Okay, if there is a no definition, no declaration is needed. So this you have to remember. And this is also optional, not compulsory. This is somewhat of course it's compulsory in many programs, and this is also optional, this is also optional, and the main is compulsory. Except a main, almost all are the optional sections only. So that you have to remember, this is about the structure of C program.